Hi, meet my friend Barb. Barb is a rhinoceros ratsnake from Vietnam. She's arboreal, which means she lives up in trees, at least in nature, not in my house. And she's a rat snake, which is kind of a misnomer. She doesn't actually eat rats, but she is from the species rat snake. In this case, I feed her mice, although when I first got her, she was about 2 months old, and she was really teeny tiny, about 12 inches long and as thin as a pencil lead. So she was way too tiny to eat mice. So I had to feed her guppies and minnows. So I would literally put live guppies and minnows in her water dish, and she would slowly come down from her little tree in her tank and pluck them out of the water. So Barb has this little tiny it's tiny now, but when she gets bigger, it'll get even bigger. But she's got this little thing called a protuberance on her nose. Sometimes they're called a proboscis as well. A lot of funny terms. And that's not actually part of her nose. She has a very normal nose, same as any other snake, but this little pointy thing pokes out from her nose, and it looks kind of like a rhinoceros horn, so that's why she's called a rhinoceros ratsnake. But Barb is really fun. She's really friendly. She's very curious. If I set her down, she would disappear and find some mischief to get into in about 5 seconds, so I have to be really careful with her. And she is just a really fun addition to my collection. And actually, rhino rat snakes are really hard to find. They're very uncommon in captivity. I had to order her from a special breeder out of Michigan because you're not going to find a snake like this at a Petco or a PetSmart. And so she's really fun, and she's very hungry all the time. She's a voracious feeder. But I really like having Barb in my collection. She's very entertaining to watch and super friendly. And one cool thing you ought to know about her is that when she was born, she hatched out of the egg gray. And now you can tell that she's kind of a steely sort of dark green color, and the older she gets, the greener she's going to get, because she experiences what some snakes do, which is called ontogenetic color changes, which means that when the babies are first born, they have a different color than the adults, so you can tell the difference between the adults and the babies. So in the case of rhinoceros rat snakes, the adults are green, and they get much greener than this, almost like an emerald green when they're adults. But when they're babies, they're totally gray. So she's about 2 years and 2 months old. And so for the first 2 years of her life, she was completely gray. And funny enough, about 2 months ago, boom, I woke up one day and I looked in her tank and I thought, oh my goodness, she looks green. Where did that come from? So that's a really fun and unusual aspect of keeping a rhinoceros rat snake. They change color. So thanks for joining us, Barb.